According to Sheriff Baca, upon relief, safety must be considered in accordance with the LA Sheriff Department MPP.
Oh.
MPP.
That stands for Manual of Policy and Procedures.
Okay, thank you. What is the sheriff's definition of safe?
Okay, actually, he's not here, so I'll do my level best to speak for him. And that's a tough one. You know, the world's not safe. Our job in law enforcement is to make it as safe for people as we can. We do our best, and there's still crimes throughout the county, etc. We do our level best to assess what's safe for, in particular, tonight's discussion, released prisoners, as we do for citizens and victims and informants and even suspects. And I know, you know, our manual says what state law says about safely releasing people, and it does refer both to their capacity for taking care of themselves in an interim period before they get home or with family members or whatever. It refers to their medical and mental situation, etc. Potentially could refer to where we're releasing them, although, as I said, we've been releasing prisoners from 23 or up to 23 sheriff stations and at least 2 to 4 jail facility sites in LA County throughout my 3.5 decade career. And for the most part, prisoners who are released go about their way, one way or another, and are okay. It's tragic, but we investigate up to 2,000 missing person cases in our jurisdiction alone a year. We also investigate many, many thousands of crimes in which people are assaulted or robbed or worse in some cases, and or battered or whatever. And I wish I could say the world's safe and that we could always predict which areas of it are safe and which ones are not, but that's tricky. So that may sound like a lot of tap dancing, but there's no real clear-cut answer I can give, and I really feel awkward speaking for the sheriff. But for myself, we assess safety as best we can, and we try to do our best doing it.
What is quote-unquote safe about releasing anyone in the middle of the night in a remote area, knowing there are no means of public transportation, especially when the detained person has been separated from their personal property?
I think that the dictates of the law create the definition of what's safe. And I know I'm not sure this is working, but every law enforcement agency in the country deals with this issue. You know, no one wants a station or a jail in their neighborhood. A lot of neighborhoods around the country aren't safe. And I think that the law basically requires law enforcement agencies to make the kind of determinations that we've all been talking about. And one is there a clear and present danger that person is a risk to him or herself or to the community at large, others? And I think the law has also put into place measures that allow law enforcement to take into account when someone has clear and unequivocal signs of either medical or mental deficiencies. Again, putting the civil rights hat on, this is all balancing those concerns with a person's right to be free and to be able to make choices that all of us might take for granted until we're faced in those situations. In my career, I've been a public defender, been a federal prosecutor, I've been in private practice, I've represented all sorts of, defended all sorts of criminals, I've prosecuted all sorts of folks, including police officers. Everyone that I've come in contact who's ever been arrested or incarcerated does not want to stay in longer than they legally have to. And so, from that perspective, a law enforcement agency has to do this delicate balance. Because none of us wants to be detained longer than he or she has to, or in custody longer than he or she has to be. But at the same time, a safe release is just as the law defines, and that is someone a danger to him or herself? And also, are they clearly gravely disabled that they need to have their freedom taken away through an involuntary commitment?
I just wanted to add that I appreciate everything that you're saying. I certainly understand the delicate balance between detaining someone longer than what they can and violating their rights and that type of thing. And it was really hard. Honestly, I've been doing a lot of research on this issue, and I was fortunate enough to have someone, a sheriff, speak to me outside of California. But he did speak to me about their release policy, and I was. As I was researching him, it was because he had written an article, or he was part of a panel actually, and someone had written an article about his unwillingness to release someone in the middle of the night without any way of caring for themselves. And so I contacted him and said, how on earth is that possible? What gives you the latitude to be able to violate someone's rights in that way? And he did tell me that the law is kind of like Psychologist, he said, Dr. Hampton, it's not an exact science. There is the idea of prudence and safety, and we do have to make that a consideration. And the way that he's decided to do it was that he did not think it was prudent, he did not think it was safe to release people when there was no way for them to care for themselves. So that he put things in place, and the way he said it to me is, you can be released at night, you certainly can, but someone has to pick you up, and you have to be able to prove how that can happen. Or a bus has to be in the immediate vicinity of you. And in his city, or in his area, I believe there was only one city where he actually did allow people to be released because the bus ran all night, and it was directly in front of the sheriff's department. Otherwise, unless someone walked into the facility, picked up the phone, proved that they were inside of the facility, you were not held against your rights. We were just holding you there for your own safety until someone else came to get you. And he just said that was the decision that he made. And if he's going to go to court and he's going to have to be sued, he'd much prefer to be sitting there defending someone's safety than to be condoling a family whose family members were harmed. And not only that, in consideration of some of the people who he released, he wouldn't want released in his own neighborhood in the middle of the night because of the things that could possibly happen to private citizens. So he shared a lot of that, and some people in his own city agree with that or not, but that he felt this is the safest way that he could proceed with regards to the people who were being released at night, as well as the citizens that he serves.
Okay, thank you. Did you want to say something? Yes, go ahead.
Ronda, I'm sorry, did you say that?
Use the mic so they can.
Did you say that person works for a sheriff's department?
Outside of California, not
Okay. Did he write an article about it?
He was part of a panel discussion, and the panel discussion was about nighttime release.
Okay, I'd like to know.
I didn't know
afterwards,
that.
I'd like to read whatever there is.
Oh, certainly.
Because I understand his point of view, and one of the things I came to do here was to learn stuff. So, thank you. And just one quick thing about the question. Again, I can't talk about certain aspects of this, but the typical procedure does not involve releasing people without property. As I explained in the previous question, we do give them their property, and it includes money if they had money when they were arrested. The part about the remote area, we could talk all day about the sliding scale of the definition of remote versus populated versus commercial versus industrial, and I don't think we get too far, but the question is worded in a manner that makes it really hard to answer effectively in a few seconds. And there's a guy with a sign that says 30 seconds on it. It's going to get me in a minute. So.